This mom is furious, and she was going off. And I'd just be curious how you would handle it if you were this mom, Virginia. Jamie Rose put this post up on TikTok after she went to a Ross in Boca Raton with her twin boys. Here's what she had to say in the video.
I have twin boys. Everybody knows this. And my kids are not teenagers. My kids are boys. They are in elementary school. I was told that my kids would not be allowed into the fitting room with me. And if they wanted to try any clothes on, they would have to go into the men's fitting room. What makes it okay for little kids to go into a male fitting room and them being the only kids there and not having adult supervision? As all of this is being told to me that my kids are not allowed to go into the fitting room with me because it's a woman's fitting room and women are not going to feel comfortable with having boys in there, I go ahead and I ask him, okay, so then do you have a family fitting room? He was very rude, loud, and dismissive, and he told me no. He also told me that trying on clothes was a choice, and if that's the choice that I wanted to make, to go leave my kids at the furniture section. Who in the hell would go into a fitting room and leave their kids unattended? If you're not going to allow a mother to go into a fitting room with her children so her children can try on clothes, then why don't you have family fitting rooms? I will not be visiting this store ever again. Let me know if you think that I overreacted and not being allowed into a fitting room with my children, or my children not being allowed into the fitting room with me.
Okay. Would you be upset if you had a younger Rocco and you want to take him into a dressing room with you and they're like, sorry, kid can't go in there? How do you respond to that, Virginia?
Yeah, I think the mom should be upset. Absolutely. Because in this day and age, you can't leave a kid out in the furniture section while you go to try on clothes.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to shop there anymore. I would agree with her.
You know, this happens, I'm sure, when you have staff. I know that they take something upon themselves, and it's hard to probably break down every societal rule. You just think it might be common sense. This is absolutely one thing you cannot do, and you've got to train your staffs, and maybe you haven't thought about it, but if you have a store that has dressing rooms, you got to say, you of course can bring your small children into a dressing room with you. There should not be ever any expectation that you would leave them in another part of the store unattended.
Just say it out loud. The store wanted to separate the mother and her children.
There's a reason why.
What?
There's got to be a reason why they have this rule in place. And the only thing I can think of, the reason why they're doing this, is someone's either been stealing or that they've been running a scam through the store, and that's their policy. They don't want to get burned. Well, because the people do use kids to steal stuff.
Sure, but I don't think you can tell a mother she has to leave her kids.
Yeah, no,
out front of the dressing room.
I would not want to leave my kids alone if they're real little like that.
You shouldn't. You shouldn't leave them alone. You can't leave them alone at any age because they're snatching people off the street. 9 out of 10 guys in Ross are up to no good.
So she went to an employee who said, well, let me get my manager. And both the employee and the manager's like, sorry, no, the kids are staying outside of the dressing room. And she could not believe it, and later called Ross's corporate, and there was a district manager that said that is not our company's policy. I don't know what they're doing there. Wow. She said, well, don't worry, I'm not going to be coming back. So, and there were a lot of parents who were supporting her saying, what are you doing?
We got to get like a continuity thing here, Ross. What are y'all doing?
Well, just like Kevin said, sometimes employees take the things into their own hands.
Well, honestly, that's why who you have managing your store is critical, because there were other Ross employees saying, no, we always allow kids to go into dressing rooms with their parents. I don't know why this one manager at the Ross in Boca decided to make this a policy and then enforce it on all of his employees.
It's kind of like the story I told you about with at the liquor store when my girlfriend would go to me. She's obviously of age, but if I'm with her buying liquor, he has to see both of her IDs together, and that never made sense to me. And then we asked the employees to go, you make everybody do that? They go, no, this guy just wants to do this policy on his own because he's a renegade.
Some people just like to go rogue, and they like to create rules, and they like to be mean. I've seen this. I've actually experienced this in my own journey, and I don't understand why anybody would want to separate a parent from a child. If you want to do that, I don't care what the circumstance is, you are not doing it right. You cannot separate a parent from a child. I don't care what's going on. I don't care what policy you have in place. You cannot do that.
It's probably a manager who's prioritizing theft prevention over a mama's concern about the safety of her kids, thinking that maybe she might be stuffing things up their shirts or things like that if they take them in the dressing room. But unfortunately, just in this day and age, you have to say loss prevention. That's why we have them.
Yeah.
So,
I think you're right. I think that's what they probably have a store that has been, a lot of people have been stealing out of it, and it's not a overall corporate thing. They're just good. They're making their own rules.
People like to make up rules when they feel powerless. It gives them power to make up rules and then enforce them and show you who's boss. And maybe she got sassy. You know, maybe she got a little sassy and a little spicy by the dressing room and told them how ridiculous their policy was. And she flexed and they flexed, but they're wrong.
You're right, too. Who you have as a manager is so important. There was a restaurant I loved going to, and they changed management, and you could see it. The attitude was terrible. They were implementing rules and policy that was stupid.
They just like making rules because all throughout their lives, people have made them follow rules that they didn't care for. So now that they have a little bit of power, they're going to create some rule to make you follow that makes no sense, because anybody with half a brain knows you don't separate parents and children. You don't do that.
Mariah's on here from Jupiter. You worked in retail, and you have a suggestion that maybe parents in this type of situation, if you're trying to take your young boys into the dressing room with you and they won't allow you, what maybe could she have done here, Mariah?
Let's talk real quick and just put another scenario up. Let's say there's another mom on the women's side with little girls, and she's afraid that the little boys are looking under at the little girls. What should have happened was the mom should have been given the option to take the boys on the men's side and go in with them into like a family situation in the handicap stall.
Okay.
To keep everybody together and happy, not even thinking of loss prevention, just keeping in case there was someone else that was feeling a certain way.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, we don't know if it was about loss prevention or if it was about little boys being able to see women in the dressing room. I don't know. It could have been either one.
Well, but my question to you, Mariah, shouldn't a good store manager be able to handle this situation and come up with a good solution that is now not going to be blasted all over TikTok?
You guys are absolutely right in the fact that parents should never be separated from their children or made to feel a certain way. Because as soon as you're made to feel a certain way, you're never going to want to go back in that establishment again.
You're right.
That's very true.
And we don't separate parents and children. We don't do that.
Cardinal rule, lesson learned.